trained on how to enact a search and seizure, right? But you may never ever do a search and seizure on a boat. Your whole entire
Hey, welcome back to YNS Warrior, and I have a special guest today. Combined, I have pretty much 10 years of experience. How much do you have?
about 10 years.
Okay.
Around 10
Okay.
years.
So combined, we have over 2 decades of experience. And that's knowledge in rating all the way to start from MEPS, being a civilian, to becoming a full-on submarine leader in the administrative environment on board a submarine. So we're going to give you our concepts of how we believe the rating is, and we're going to base that off of what the Navy says the rating is, based on how they write the description of the job.
And hopefully for anyone out there who's thinking about becoming a yeoman, or maybe in your first year as a yeoman, maybe it'll give you some insight onto maybe what lies ahead and some things that you can prepare for.
All right, perfect.
So the moment you graduate from Meridian, you're already at a deficit compared to all your other submarine peers because you've had no specific submarine specific training. And it's kind of going to be up to your command and primarily up to your XO and your leading yeoman to ensure that you get the proper OJT after Meridian.
I would 100% agree with that. I'm going to say that when it comes to this job, you are not fully prepared from the basic training that you get not only from Meridian, Mississippi, but even showing up and getting that on-the-job training from that leader that you have, also known as the leading yeoman. Those two training that you initially get don't facilitate and don't break down how you're going to fully operate in terms of the whole scope of your job. And I know that sounds like it makes no sense, but what I'm trying to say is that the training is not good.
Yeah, and so it's important, and we'll talk about this a little bit more, but then when you get to your first boat, you know, references. It's just going to be important to take your time to actually learn every single part of the job the right way. Because the problem sometimes with submarine, when you're in that YNS, is it's easy to take the shortcuts. It's easy to parrot work. And what I mean by parrot work is you'll sometimes run into a situation where it's easier just to do things the way they're normally done instead of figuring out why things are done that way. Oh, we've already serialized those letters. Well, they don't ever leave the boat, so why do we serialize them, right? So that's an example of, like, you know, if you understand why we serialize things, it'll help you actually make things better or, you know, change the way you do business. That's just like one small example. Oh, we always keep government travel cards in, you know, this puka in here. Well, what does the instruction say? You know, so just something to kind of remember when you get to your first boat is learn how it's supposed to be done before you start doing it the way it's always been done.
For those, this is their first job, they're 18 years old and they're coming in. What should they expect?
So what you should expect is to be thirsty to want to assist your office, your XO, your YN1 or YNC. But the best thing you can do is just make sure you're learning how to do the support tasks. At the end of the day, the mail still, you know, they bring up mail a lot. Like, oh my God, you would think we do. Mail is actually a very small function. I don't know why it's all over the website. For submarines, I guess I'll go into it, right? As a brand new YNS seaman, pretty much through E1 through pretty much E4, depending on how your office is set up, you will be the primary mail clerk. And that's not, it's not like, you know, a crap task or anything like that. It's just, you know, junior level YNS. That's how you support the office. Everybody has to do their job. So what does it mean to get mail? To get mail, it means that you understand how the mail works in the United States, right? When you are issued the responsibility of being a mail clerk, you're officially required to maintain the same responsibilities as an actual mail orderly or your normal postman or UPS or Amazon worker, right? That comes down to understanding privacy rights, understanding what you can and cannot open, understanding the dangers of the mail service, especially when working for the government or the DoD, the government and the DoD, I'm sorry, and understanding how important each and everything from the mail office is to help your ship run. Right? You get everything from a very important O-ring or repair part in the mail that they've been waiting on and got accidentally put into the normal personal certifiable mail, to everything from, legal letters that need to go to the captain regarding, an arrest out in town, letters on the status report of certain members on board, their rehab status. It'll say COXOIs only, right? It's important, that you get the route slip on that, because your leading yeoman has other things they have to focus on. So that's gonna the ownership is gonna be on you to make sure you understand those job roles.
Now, it also mentions here, also besides the mail, is that you need to receive office visitors and assist customers, essentially. That's what it translates to. If they are a shy person and they weren't expecting to, come into this and be bombarded by people all the time, they're introverts, can this inhibit their productivity if they're just not, wine one's gone, the leading yeoman, they're alone and there are people coming to them with questions?
Oh, so this is a really good question. Oh man, I'm so glad you brought this up. If you do have issues with social issues or anxiety or interacting with lots of people, you are going to struggle slightly. YNS is the face of the boat, right? You're the first person people speak to when they call the boat. You're the first person most people have to see when they check onto the boat. And you're one of the driving forces behind taking care of visitors on board. If you have a dignitary writing, he may need certain letters done from you. He may need certain tasks from you as well. Be ready to interact with admirals, politicians, governors. Be ready to interact with tons of staff members from your supporting commands. And interaction can't just be, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am. At the end of the day, you're speaking for the captain. They're going to ask you questions that you may know the answers to, you may not know the answers to. Be ready to truly accept the role of the social responsibility that comes with being a YNS. And that is not something a lot of people talk about, actually. And it's something that even myself, I'm from the South, I'm from Tennessee, I struggle with, even in my own junior years, I couldn't just get it right. I couldn't figure out just how to look people in the eye, how to speak to people without feeling that sweaty armpit feeling, or am I saying the wrong thing? I mean, you may, but there's a certain confidence that you have to have, and I'm not sure if it's something that we really train or teach anymore. But do know that, especially if you're not used to interacting with a lot of people, that a lot of that's just going to have to change, because again, and one other piece of that is you're the face of the crew in the sense, because the crew comes to you for everything, right? Unlike a cook who can just give them a plate, you have to interact with that person. That person's going to come to you and say, hey, I have no money in my bank account. I need to figure out a way to pay my bills this month. I've really messed up, right? What do you say to that? This could be you could be 18 years old and this could be a 30-year-old man with 2 kids, right? It's about having that human connection and empathy, and it's about knowing what are the options in front of somebody. Not getting too invested, but not being too cold, right? By being just in the middle to make sure you're helping the person and knowing and making sure they trust you to help them.
So would you say that they would need a sense of confidence when being in this position? You cannot, in a sense, flounder away towards responsibility, because you are 50% of the office when your leader is not there, and those questions are going to be asked to somebody. And if you're brand new and you've never been in the military, but you existing there has to contribute do you think that people can feel overpressured to perform duties that they may not be ready for?
Oh, you're hitting all the important ones, this guy here. That's the most dangerous thing about your job sometimes is that there isn't a very good translation on job skills, right? Like if the diesel is acting up and it's, having some major issues, just out of formality, I'm not gonna go to Fireman Schmuckatelli and ask about what's a repair job or how are we gonna fix a diesel prior to the next underway. He's just not gonna be able to have the scope of those answers. One of the biggest problems with being a YNS is there is an assumption, and I don't know where it really comes from, that you as a brand new YNS could ask questions that are far, far above your pay grade. And the most important thing you can do is make sure you relay to that person that you do not have that answer. Okay? Let me repeat that.
Yes.
It's very, very important that you relay that you do not have that answer.